Welcome to the space between trust. Trust is something we are all grappling with in the space between. Trusting ourselves, others, and our institutions has been challenging beyond measure. Trust is the core of our relationships, purpose, path, and society at large. But why does it seem so hard to trust? Why has so much distrust been sown into our collective during these times? Brittany Bolling joins us to discuss how trust is a foundational key in her life. She's a mom, author, realtor, and overall badass woman who exhibits radical trust in everything that she does. We discuss what trust really means, how to overcome doubt and fear, how it impacts every facet of our lives, and how to start really trusting yourself in the deepest way possible. Join us as we connect through conversation. Welcome to the space between. My name is Alyson Rixner, and I am so excited to have my dear friend, who I just can't say enough about, Brittany Bolling, on the space between. I have wanted you on since the moment I put this shit out. Welcome, Brittany, to the space between.
Hello. Thank you so much, Alyson, for having me. I'm just as excited. You've been formulating and, creating this baby for a little while now. It's awesome to see you execute and stay consistent. It's been an inspiration. So I'm just as honored to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for being the person I need in a lot of moments when I need someone. And I just wanted to start and say thank you. And we're going to talk about trust today.
Yes.
It's a big one. Trust is a big one. And I think the thing that I'm most excited to talk about is not only how we as women, as spiritual beings walking this beautiful life together, have learned to trust ourselves more.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned to trust each other. And, I want to say thank you for coming up with this theme, because in full disclosure, it was all you. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. I wanted to have an overarching theme that people that would just ring someone's ear. Oh, trust. It's that word that's really crisp.
Yeah, it is. And it's very much of the moment. Because
Yes.
I think so much of what we're going through in the space between is a coming home to ourselves in a way that we're leaning into change, leaning into uncertainty, and trusting ourselves more.
Yes. And with that building of trust within ourselves, we'll possibly hoping, good God, that we can trust one another. And in this all types of climate. You pick a climate, the political climate, the real climate, the like whichever climate, um, distrust has grown, and it's reaching magnitudes that have me concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. And, listen, there's structures and institutions that have taken advantage and oppressed people for, hundreds of thousands of years, and all that shit's breaking down. And of course, when we look at the world around us and we can begin to distrust, you lose trust in everything, including yourself. And I've seen that with a lot of people, right? I mean,
Yeah, they go down that path of it's a cynical path of like spiraling down because betrayal, it hurts when something distrust when you've been experience an injustice, an offense. It hurts. And then what happens is, you know a lot of people haven't been taught how to take responsibility of pain that they didn't even cause. And it's really and I think that's why great people seem beyond life. People came from nothing to seem bigger than life. And I think we're going to really grow and manifest into a world where it kind of becomes the norm to heal your own pain and to, take responsibility for your own actions. And I'm learning that a lot through parenthood. I'm a mother of three now, and I'm seeing that as I have to teach daily and be the example for the next generation of how to not project, how to take your own stress and your own, emotions and deal with them in a private, and it is a very private thing. I've taken all types of tools and manifested my own recipe to heal in certain ways. And the thing is, everybody should do it.
yep, it's all
Anybody,
within us.
all within us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And we're definitely going to talk about your role as a mother. You're one of the most amazing mothers. I believe that you are the new generation of mothers. And, I'm sure we're going to talk about our families and we're going to go into all of it.
Yeah.
But, the space between ultimately is just this change, transformation. I look at our friendship and our paths, and I don't think this could have happened 30 years ago. Like, I mean, maybe, but
Mhm.
the depths of how we've connected
Mhm.
and how we've seen each other's hearts and struggles and highs and lows, like, I think that's a blessing of the times that we're in, right? I don't know if you would agree with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Lending itself to technology because that's where it starts with you and I connecting,
Yes.
So I know we'll get into that story and everything. So lead the way. I'm here, to be of service.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. So, Brittany, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? People always say, "Who is Brittany?" I had a podcast yesterday. I was like, "I'm a soul having a human experience." Let's start there. So you can answer that question in any way that you want.
Okay. Wow, yeah, that is like the epitome of it, right? So having
That's the hardest question I'm going to ask you this whole time.
right. And then kind of like really like go through that language. All right, fine. Let's play with that language and see who plays along, right? So yeah, soul here, with a human experience and landed in Baltimore City. So that's where I'm from. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. Um, my parents were from Baltimore. My grandparents from Baltimore. So we have deep roots here. I grew up in the city. My mother was able to, pivot and move us out to the suburban area of Baltimore County, where I spent most of my teenage years and young adult years. And I'm just you know, a regular girl who, grew up in these areas and, did the high school thing and did the prom thing and did all those things. My life really started to pivot and open up through two things, through motherhood and through reading Rich Dad Poor Dad. That's where really I started to really think about who I was and what I wanted and which direction to go to. And from there, it set me off on a hell of a journey. I'll say that. A journey of a pursuit of wealth, a journey of finding myself, rediscovering myself, destroying myself, rebuilding myself, um, parenting, love, uh, marriage, well, the intent of being of getting marriage, family, being a daughter, being a sister, being an aunt, being a cousin, being a friend, being a coworker, being an entrepreneur. What else? Just all of the hats. Every last one of them.
Yeah.
I put on a lot. A lot, and yeah.
You do. And your story is so beautiful. And I know some of it's going to unfold here today. And I really think that, what I want people to know about you is the depth of the openness that you have as a soul.
It's pretty wide. And it started it started really in my childhood. So I'm the oldest, right? But blended family. So I had pockets of, alone time. And in that alone time, I explored, all types of different things. And my exploration really started in books and film, being interested in all types of movies, and with different backgrounds. And as a kid, you kind of take movies literally, especially historical ones. And I wasn't one to really pick and choose the facts. I just was able to look at people and look at those stories and be like, oh, okay, this is how they live. This is how they live. This is how they've done things, and just have an unbiased, non-judgmental thing, and then allow myself to be entertained by things that were different. Didn't just stick
Mm.
to, rap and hip hop and black film and black cinema. I was very, open as a young child. My mother and embraced it. She didn't understand it. She didn't know why I liked the things that I liked or the movies that I liked or whatever, but she encouraged it. So if I asked for all of the Lethal Weapon films for Christmas at 10, she bought them for me. If I asked if I wanted to watch Gone with the Wind, or,
Yeah.
or I watch an Alfred Hitchcock movie with my dad, like she just let me explore this curiosity that was outside of just the cultural norm of of being an African American in Baltimore. So that's where my openness, my open mindedness started. That was very uncomfortable, that I am taking ownership now and being comfortable. Even me saying it out loud right here is like, oh wow, yeah, that's kind of where
Yeah.
it started.
Thank you for that. And the way that your path has unfolded, even since I've known you. I think about we've been friends for like almost 5 years now,
It's
which
5 years.
is crazy.
Right, right.
And yesterday, of course, because everything's perfect in the universe, I found our first exchange over Facebook DMs. I was like, hey, Brittany, I live
Yeah.
in New York City. I'm in real estate too. Do you want to talk?
You did. You
Yeah.
did. And I was just like, cool, like, yeah, you know.
Yeah. And
Why not?
then we had, and listen, I mean, you you got me to see that in life and in relationships, you don't just trust somebody straight up. I don't know if you remember that, but I think I called you my friend on like a second call,
Hmm.
and you were like, no, I just met you. And that taught me one of the biggest lessons of my life.
And I'm glad that it did, even though my intent wasn't really that deep. It was
No,
it was really like,
you were just like, what?
I just was I just was very much so like, well, let's get to know. I wanted you to get to know me. I wanted to get to know, to know you. I had a high level of respect of, the success that you obtained so far. So I approached it differently. I approached it with, I want to get to know her. I want her to get to know, get to know me. And especially, I believe since we had a common thing in business, and by then I had some experiences with friends in business. So I was approaching, I'm like, well, is it friend? But if we do business, and how do you
Right.
intertwine the two, and things of that nature. And that sent you down a whole other path. You started doing research on African American history. You went down a different.
I was that girl. I was like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I offended her. Oh shit.
No, 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 no,
And
not.
here we are.
And here we are, like, very two different backgrounds. Couldn't be more, different, and then still have so much, in common. And I think the commonality is just the mission, the purpose. Knowing that we are women who tapped into that, and I believe when you tap into that, that opens you up to all sorts of people. Like, again, because you're not putting yourself in that box. We have both joined a community because we needed some healing, and it both helped us in different ways, and get us to grow here. I know that without that healing, I would have never been able to take the steps that I need to take after that. And and that was a pretty, and that was a moment of, as we talk about trust, just really, deep trust for me to make an investment. It was 5 grand, and for me at that moment to invest 5 grand into what, personal development. But the thing was, I was alone at that moment. I didn't need anyone's validation. I didn't need anyone's permission. I didn't need anybody's approval, opinion to do what I needed to do for me. And it was one of the best decisions to this day that I ever made.
Yeah, absolutely. So trust is a definition. Let's pivot a minute.
Sure.
Um, I have two.
Mhm.
So the Oxford Dictionary says that trust is to believe someone is good and honest and will not harm you, or that something is safe and reliable. What do you think about that?
I think it's a very fairy tale approach to trust.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, the Oxford Dictionary is funny and we have like a good chuckle, but that's really what people thought trust was, right? Is something safe for me? Is
Ooh.
someone safe for me? And you and I have talked about safety for hours and hours, and it's just an illusion, right? If it's external. But the new definition of trust that resonated with me was a firm belief in the honesty, integrity, or truth of a person or thing. It can also mean a confident expectation, which I don't think it is an expectation. That's the one part that didn't resonate with me.
No, I don't agree with that either.
Yeah,
It's more risk than anything. It's a
totally.
thing you can't have expectation about. That's how you release it, you
Yeah.
know. And yeah, like, Gary Vaynerchuk, he has some videos out there. He talks a lot about trust. Oh my God, he gives away trust like how like how you can give away a piece of gum, and it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. He says you give it first, and then you see what happens. And I've learned to live my life that way in some of the most untrustworthy situations, ever. However, my belief in humanity and the good has always outweighed the possibility of someone letting me down, even though it happens, even though I've definitely been, heartbroken and disappointed and all those things. I'm like, well, the alternative was, well, I'm still here, I'm still alive, and I still need people. I
Right.
have to be able to trust in people, because I wasn't willing to make myself so small to live in distrust. Because if that's the case, and if I can't trust anyone else, how can I trust myself when myself tells me to trust someone? Like, how can how can I, when your intuition is saying, like, especially if you want something, so then I
Yeah.
think what happens is it becomes a shrinkage. You stop trusting, then you stop wanting things. And then so you get so small that it just becomes this routine, that these things that you can get yourself, that only you can do it yourself, and you just move in this space. And then you spread your distrust and negativity out in the world. And I've seen that happen quite a lot.
Right. And your life has not been easy. You haven't had, I mean, no one's is, but your life has definitely not been easy, from your family to your relationships to, where you've lived, what you've done for a career, to your kids. I mean, you have been through it.
Mm.
How do you think, or I guess a better question is, was there a time in your life when you felt distrustful?
Yeah, yeah, because what happens, I find it to be, and I don't know, and again, like, I don't know if this is not a one size fit all. But what I noticed within myself is that once you get out of being a victim, right? And if you don't go straight into, pure enlightenment and joy and all that, you will go into sort of a villain type of mindset,
Yeah.
you know. And it's not so much that I distrust others, it's that I trust myself more than everyone else. I have been betrayed and just and all of that. So now I'm going to turn into someone that is going to get it done, even if I got to step on you. We're going to got to take from you. I'm going to hit back hard.
Yeah.
And I did it sometimes, but then life hits me back. So like, it doesn't work either.
Right.
It doesn't work either. You
Right.
slap harder and it'll just slap you even harder, right? But it is a part, I do believe it is a part of the human experience to have those, I like to call it, like, three sort of avenues of mindsets, where you're victim and then you're villain. And then eventually you become a victor of yourself. You save yourself from, from having a victim mindset and feeling like, no matter what you do, you won't make it, or someone's always going to do something to you, or what people say really is going to impact you, or someone's going to stop you. You let all of that go. And then you also realize that, I don't have to hurt anyone else either. Because in the hurting of other people, you have once you have a conscience, you have a conscience. I remember, being a kid, and, you think about, it just kind of hits you off, oh man, I was really mean to that kid. Or I said that.
Right. From the earliest years.
Yeah,
How it was just instilled. It's part of the
it's
fabric of this place.
yeah. And I believe, just touching a little bit, of what we are talking about with narcissism, I believe there are beings who are able to push that down or push that out, so much so because they feel so entitled to do so, that they pretended it didn't happen, and then that's when you get into like gaslighting and other perpetual harm that has, run havoc in different areas of society, and especially in the family dynamic. That's where every people, all people come from. Some, it doesn't, even if you orphaned or whatever, you was in a group home, you come from some sort of collective thing. You collect, not collective thing, but collective, set of
Yeah,
people.
a structure, a family. I mean, it might not be called family, but regardless of your upbringing, it's such a powerful thing. And you and I have shared so much about this, right?
Mhm.
I have not dealt with the intensity of narcissism the way that you have. I've learned a lot through your experience and what you shared with me. And I think, a lot of people today, especially I would say since the rise of women and people just speaking out about their experiences and things that have happened to them, narcissism seems to have taken a front seat.
Oh yeah. It's being weaponized, but in a backwards way again. So now that,
It's exactly what I was thinking. And of course, you said it.
right, and in this backwards way, and the thing is, it's really not to be weaponized. It's really something that you maneuver around. And once you get it, it becomes relatively easy. We were talking about it being about the behavior, not really about the person, because the person who is perpetuating highly, and I what I mean by, just to be clear, What I mean by highly narcissistic behavior is, in layman's terms, is someone who is hurting you, saying hurtful things for you, and acting like they aren't, telling
Yeah.
you it's you in the real life moment.
Yep.
Insanity. And I always break it down. This is how I taught my children. I said, imagine someone stomping on your foot, like,
Yep.
and you're like, "Ow, you're hurting my feet," and they're like, "No, I'm not. You're stomping on your own foot." you know
Yeah.
and what that does is, if you are, what that does to people who, who are just, trying to, get through life and not really, have a sense of security, but maybe not really have a whole lot. This is what my experience, I mean, maybe not instilled a whole lot of self-esteem and confidence and things. You'll start to think something's wrong with you.
Right.
Like, wait a minute, did I do that? Did I start that? Did I, do that?
Right.
And the reason why I challenged it was the sole reason was that I wanted to be successful more than anything. I wanted to be successful more than I wanted to be approved, more than I wanted to be liked, because I have, for myself, and then I have children. So I looked at success as a way to provide for myself and my children the highest quality of life that the earth could offer, because I saw other people getting it, and I, like, why not me? You know,
Right.
and I
And
felt
that's one of the ways you were able to get, I don't want to say out of the cycle, because once you're in the cycle, there's always a piece of it, but you're not certainly part of it.
right. I'm, creating another cycle as best way I can, and I became a mother young,
Yeah.
22,
How old were you when you had Lyndon?
22.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
young.
yeah. It was very, very young, just mentally, spiritually, emotionally, but just a very young woman who didn't have a lot of tools to begin with. So I'm learning on the fly, executing on the fly, applying on the fly, and as we talk about, with London, my oldest daughter, her witnessing that, her me seeing that, me making mistakes, recovering from those mistakes, explaining those mistakes, doing the I did it all, the gentle parenting, the, the discipline. I tried space sometimes when I was healing, just, whatever, whatever I could do to not, not hurt her, just not
Yeah.
hurt her, have her feel good about herself while I'm learning how to feel good about myself in the moment. So it's kind of like, I got to meditate in the morning, do my journals, my affirmations. I feel good about Brittany so I can be a living example, because kids will call bullshit on you early,
Totally.
early.
They can see what most people can't, sometimes including ourselves.
Oh my God, what? It is a hard mirror. And I think that's why so much pain is between the parent and the child, because it is a hard mirror. It is. It, even now, she's in teenage years now. Good God, break from me. But she's awesome.
It's
She's
a whole
great.
other, she's amazing, but yeah,
She's everything that I have been working hard to instill, but it's coming out in this, way, because
yeah, she's 13, right?
she's 14. She'll be
She's 14.
15.
Oh, that's right. She said her birthday. Oh my
I'm
God.
not her, right. And I'm not her only influence. She is
Of course.
an amazing teenager. I cannot wait to see who she's going to become, because where I'm at in adulthood is I've taken my hands, off. Now it's
Okay.
guiding. I, very, hands on and very into making sure she's emotionally this, emotionally that. Now, where I've realized with taking my hands off is up to her and her choice, who she chooses to be.
Yeah.
And I love her and guide her as, best as I can. But what I'm finding in the relaxation in parenting, a teenager, is trust. Oh, you have to have such.
I was just gonna say, I mean, how do you find trust in yourself, and then how do you even teach a child how to trust themselves in a world that is constantly trying to pull you away from the core of who you are? I mean, we live in a society that doesn't want us. It's in direct opposition to, what works for the structures and the institutions for us to trust ourselves. So how
Right.
do you do that with her?
With her, with all my children,
Yeah.
I lead with firmness of demanding it. You must do this. And I think that's where I take my power as a mother. You must do this, because it's not about me. It's not about anyone else. You must be able to hear your own voice. You must be able to trust it. And what happened was, it kind of backfired. See, even against me,
She's like, I'm trusting myself and I don't give a shit what you say, Mom. I can see it.
completely blew up in my face. But you know
You
what?
told me to trust myself and I don't like what you're
It's,
doing.
it's okay. It's okay, because
Yeah, it is okay. Yeah.
what I've learned is, like, okay, you've had you've had your moment. You trusted yourself and you went for it. And now and then you have to understand the consequences of that, because consequences aren't necessarily good or bad. They're just a result of an action.
Right.
And you picking yourself up from from learning that, and still trusting yourself. That's the piece. It's like, you express and you release something. It may not have gone as planned, and it didn't go right. That's life. But you heard your voice and you stood in it, and you did not back down. And so in a way, throughout her adulthood, there are moments where I'm angry because because I'm a feeling being too, and your kid is behaving a certain way. But then there were moments quietly
Right.
where I'm so fucking proud of her. I'm like, that's right, that's my girl. So proud of her. She got it in her own way. And then that allows me to feel proud of myself, because I got another one after her, Caleb, the youngest one. And now
Right.
a new addition,
Yep.
my older son, Justice, who's 16. And I'm just like, okay, I can be that example, because I saw, because my girl, your daughters, man, your girls are so like, feed them fire, man, feed it to them. Even if you get burned in the mix of it, it won't scar. I promise you, man. Because the love between, I've witnessed between daughter and mother, even my own mom, who's not, who's still relatively young. My
Right.
mom is, 57. She had me at 19.
Yeah, your mom is very young.
Yeah, young. So that learning together is like, okay, let's get closer with this. Let's trust this. Like, let's love on each other and take that fire out into the world. They think that's what it happens. I believe when we get to a place where families are, not carrying that fire within it, carrying it out into the world,
Mm.
and fighting battles out in the world, and having a family that will support them when it gets too much for them, when they're outnumbered or really, really hurt. I've been in some pretty scary situations alone, um, without that backup. And I'm think that thanks to the, Almighty God, was able to maneuver it through it without any significant damage. I've been greatly blessed compared to some stories of other, women out here in business, and a business like real estate, which is very male dominated, and navigating those waters alone. So I do think that us trusting ourselves, and women trusting women so that we can be our backup, is going to be formidable against whatever's to come in these next few years. But
That's so beautiful. It is. It's all about, can you lean into yourself more? I think as you're younger, especially as women, right? And I think about London and I think about girls her age, especially now. It's like, wow, that's some really intense shit.
Mhm,
But it's almost like you have to be stripped of believing in yourself. It's like we're here to find it again,
mhm,
right? And you're in your mid 30s.
mhm,
I'm in my mid 40s. And it just gets a little easier, I think. I think with age, I always say, like, I just got a little beat down. I was like, I might as well just start trusting myself because I'm too tired not to.
that's so yeah, that's my wife Lauren. She's also in her early 40s, and she's been telling me that you like the attitude of
Yeah.
40. I'm doing the cheat code.
No, you're working your ass off, please.
I am, but I am taking in every cheat code that I can from that woman and from you, to like, okay, all right, yeah, I don't have to care about that. Well, yeah, I am.
World, watch out when Brittany is like 50. Like, watch out, okay? I'm
uh,
just calling it now.
Right. I'm trying to get there. Well, I'm working to get there. I'll be 38 soon. And
Yeah.
and age looks different now. What I want to see from us as like millennials and Gen, is really take our space and be like, you know what? We have a say here too. It's not about like, I think overpowering anyone or anything like that, but us taking up space in the world to know that, hey, these expectations of owning a house by this age, or, having this, just seamless linear life.
Right. The vision of what we were told we were supposed to have. I mean, I'm not doing it. You're not doing it. I actually don't know many people that are doing it.
No one really does it. I think it's the
Yeah.
biggest illusion,
Yeah.
because when everyone thinks about the picket fence, right? But what happens when you open the door, and you're in someone's house, and and you go upstairs in that bedroom, and they're really fighting, and they're really like not happy, and there's so much discord in homes, that they leave in the house and then go out in the world and pretend.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and go out in the world. And that was the world that we were in, and pretend. And I do believe that there are people who want to bring it back to that,
Oh, for sure.
because there are people who didn't feel it because they could just perpetuate their pain amongst others.
Right. they could hide and dissociate and distract and
Yeah.
oppress people and
Right.
assault people. I mean, this is what happened. And is that still going to happen? Of course. But guess what? There is no more hiding.
If you do it, you will be exposed in one way or another.
Yep.
And so it's kind of like, you might as well just stop. Not do it, really, just get some help, talk to someone. And that's what I've been really voicing in my own inner circle, that, I need to expand myself. And this is part of me doing that, is like, yo, dude, you don't have to, hurt other people. If you just get, the hurt inside of you killed, or at least talked
Mm.
about, or at least something.
Dealt with.
It's, yeah,
Yeah. It's like, don't look away. Don't look away from your pain.
yeah.
It's so hard not to. I mean, you've dove in, I've dove in, we've shared so much about what we go through. I mean, I've seen you at your most vulnerable, you've seen me at my most vulnerable. I think that's a big piece of trust,
Oh, yeah.
because so much distrust is in direct correlation, if that's the right word, to disassociation and to, kind of avoidance.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Big, heavy on the avoidance and distraction, which
Yep.
is,
Distraction. That was the other word I was looking for.
you can be
Yeah.
distracted by, by anything. But I think it's also about the people around you being vocal. And that is hard too, to be vocal about someone you love behavior, to say, hey, listen, you really, might want to talk to someone and get some help, because and my wife says this a lot too, that even though mental health is talked about, it still comes with like a stigma, and now it's even more touchy because I don't know if your listeners noticed, but I just recently became a correctional officer, so I've seen mental health at the lowest and lowest of society, a piece of it, just here in Montgomery County, Maryland. And so I've seen how low it can deteriorate, you know. And I do believe people have comforts and consistencies that prevent them from dropping below that line, but it is a line, and I do believe that as the future comes, and as more people are not willing to go silently, because the thing about, the world is that we've evolved. People have, acquired rights and liberties and things, and they're not going to part with them quietly. People are not going to part with their liberties and things that acquire.
No, they're not.
No,
Nor should they.
not at all.
We're all sovereign beings.
Yes. Hello. And
Yeah.
when you tap into that sovereignty, then you realize there is no one above me. There is no superiority. There's no one better than me. I'm not better than anyone else. You can talk clearly, confidently, and really, voice yourself without fear. And that's another thing too, like fear of being healthy, fear of feeling your feel. I think people think that their feelings are really going to take them out. It's like,
And sometimes it feels that way.
it does feel that
But
way.
it's such a part of who we are as a human condition. I mean, this is what we are. We're here to feel. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. And we have been taught a bold-faced fucking lie
Mm-hmm.
that everything's supposed to be great. Cinderella, this bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on, really? Yeah. I mean, are there moments in life that are, amazing and beautiful? Yeah. But on the flip, and the polarity of it is like the tragic, devastating, horrible, right? So you have these structures in this world that are causing distrust because it's what serves them.
Exactly. Right. So even taking Cinderella, right?
Yeah.
Cinderella went through it. Like,
She did. That's true.
especially if you look at the
She
ones.
had those nasty stepsisters. Yeah, I forgot. I mean, but really, like, I guess you're right. I was more talking about like Prince Charming and Perfect and Happily Ever After. Like, that is some bullshit right there. But I guess we didn't see the sequel.
Right. So when I think of Cinderella, I think of the one that Drew Barrymore played in.
Oh, that was a really good one.
That
That's a great movie. We'll link it below.
right. That's tangible. With the happily ever after doesn't mean that there aren't problems. It says in happily ever
Right.
after is focusing on solutions. It's
Right.
focusing on things, because I do believe that we can get to a harmonious state if enough people of like mind come together. It doesn't take a lot, because I do believe positive energy will, can outblast, and
It's so much stronger.
so much stronger. The power
Love is so much stronger than hate.
oh my God, love has gotten me to so many heights in my life that money or anything can't even compare. No material can
Absolutely.
compare to where
Yeah.
how love will soar you. And that's self-love, love for your family, love for your children, your spouse, wherever you can pull it from. And just keep that line, keep that energy, flowing. And there can be a relatively happily ever after, because another thing that, my wife always says is enjoy, enjoy the journey on the way to the destination. So,
Yeah.
in fearful times, spin it with a little bit of humor, and
Yeah.
like in heartbreak times, work out, like, challenge, move that energy. In anxious and anxiety times, lay on the floor, like, feel what you need to feel. Because I promise you, after you
Yeah.
feel it, you're going to wake up and be like, you're still going to be alive. You're still going to be here.
You're gonna feel better too. Yeah.
You're still gonna be here,
Yeah.
and you can keep it moving. I think that's what the real happily ever after is keep finding that frequency, keep finding that abundant love, keep tapping into it, and then you tap
Yeah.
into it so much that it becomes the majority. Happiness becomes the norm. I think that's what people is. Nobody wants to alleviate, certain levels of pain, suffering, things like that just come with the human experience. But I do think that abundance of happiness and joy is, possible. I just think it's been possible for a certain, class of people for so long that people are like, nah, I want some of that. And I'm gonna get it. And you're not, and there's nothing you could do, and the thing is, and that's why, like, lack has nothing to do with how much money you have, because
Ugh.
there's a big scarcity thing. We're one of the I don't know where we're at now with money, but allegedly one of the richest countries in the world. And there's this overarching theme or narrative of scarcity that's simply not true. And even myself, I have to rise to overcome it in myself, in my in my pursuit of my own personal economy, and then grow from there. But that overarching scarcity, that if another group of people get some, I lose some, or if I don't destroy or crush, I won't win. It's all scarcity, just with different webs all around it. you know
Absolutely. And
it,
you and I share in that. I mean, that's actually something I talked about in my podcast yesterday when I had someone interview me and I was like, people don't know about me is that I'm like, I really have to fight hard to move forward. I have this crippling anxiety that I will always deal with to a certain extent. I've healed a lot and realized that so much of this is generational, right? There's a lot of distrust for ourselves because we're carrying a lot of generational trauma in our DNA. But we are not victims and we need to be victors. And,
right.
the deeper you can have that trust with yourself and the more you can move forward into a life that's really yours and stop living someone else's timeline, that's freedom.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you know who does it? A lot of answers I think we find, like, in these fictional movies, these Marvel and these superheroes, because superheroes be having, especially in the word of, like, toxic, that's another buzzword, of a person is, toxic, and because of the generational trauma. And it's like, okay, well, whatever toxins you have, whatever, just keep it moving. I think,
Right.
I think, like,
Right.
Wolverine couldn't die, and he had to keep moving.
Right. Right. He keeps
That's not
transforming.
a toxic
That
trait.
that tracks.
Right? That's not
I'm like,
toxic.
I feel
I
like I
don't.
do that every day.
Right, or, like, whatever their power is, just as powerful as they were. They had
Yeah,
just a parallel of a weakness. So
totally.
but you carry both of it, and you own your weight and
Yeah.
walk out in the world with it. And that's why I know with you, with your challenges with anxiety, my Rob is talking about, it's a superpower. Your superpower propelled you here.
Yeah.
Like, because you was like, I cannot, I'm like, I cannot fucking take it anymore. I have to do it. And that's what happened. It just bursted out of you, because you could not suppress it anymore. You could not.
No, I was like, I have to put this out. I'm freaking out. You're like, oh, for Christ's sake. Okay. But you were so supportive. Oh my God. All the calls. I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh my God. Distrust.
Yeah, I know. You do the same for you. So I think we just kind of reverse it and be like, listen, I'm a good person. I want the best for people. But I'm put this on the charger too. I want the best for people. And if others out here, who do, perpetuate harm, who do this, can stand in front and talk to millions of people. And I haven't hurt a soul except for maybe some ex-boyfriend or girlfriend feelings I heard a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I'm worthy of, impact and change. I am worthy. I just getting, started. I have a pure heart, not a perfect one, but I have a pure one. And I can go out here, and that's what I had to tell myself today. I can go out here, I can say it. Doesn't have to be perfect, Brittany. I don't, not a formal podcaster or anything like that. Like, I'm just a regular girl, got a regular Instagram, real estate agent. But I have overcome some serious, challenges in my life, and you've been a friend to witness that. And, I cannot be selfish with myself. And I'm working on that. I'm really working on that. Selfish with my stories, selfish with it, because telling myself false narrative like, well, these things work for me. I don't know what it'll do for anyone else. I don't know. I don't know if anyone cares or whatever, but it is just that duty, like I said, to be of service. And it's Veterans Day. My parents were Marine. I do feel like that is a part of my heart, is just to share with something. You have an audience. I am, yeah, I'm a good woman. I
You
forgive.
are.
Yeah, I've forgiven.
There's nothing regular about you.
Thank you. Thank you, man.
I
Like,
mean that with so much love.
I've worked really, really intensely to get here and to do that and to see where my path takes me and become, this person that can be a beacon of hope of to people that say, oh, if you are struggling with, depression, anxiety, if you've been gaslit, if you feel alone, if you are, if there's like writing help me, if you are writing to yourself and you're like, I know I'm not crazy, I know I'm speaking the truth, hang on, hang on, fight back, get loud, look crazy, look stupid, look ridiculous, just look it. Because I'm telling you, by the time you overthink what someone else is thinking about you while you're taking action, it will just go by. I learned a lot about narcissism through Robert Greene, and I was kind of played back some of his thoughts. And one of the things that he said to me, and this goes all across the board for low levels of narcissism, just regular or high, pouring ourselves into our work really just kind of alleviates that, because the whole point of like narcissism is that you're just consumed of yourself. But when you are like calling people, or you're making calls, or you're doing a business or whatever work, whatever
Yeah.
you're passionate about, you're creating, you're not really thinking about anyone else. You're thinking about, or you are, but you're thinking about something to solve a problem or, help someone. Because there is really no serious making money unless you're really helping people, like for real. And we're just talking about good people. You're a criminal, whatever. But like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
doing that, I think really calms down those unnecessary feelings that really get in the way of our goals and dreams. They just get in the way. We don't have to feel a feeling that long. Feel it for a few seconds and just, kind of get back into work.
Yeah.
And I think work will really, help us navigate these high uncertainty. I think they've been, I don't know if the times have been since 2020 have been just uncertain year after year after year.
Yeah, it's been
You
a
know,
lot.
and I think we have to get to a point of getting just comfortable in that and paying attention to, whatever outlets, whatever communities you can, because we don't know what to expect. And every time somebody tries to predict or anticipate another left turn, something else comes out of the woodwork.
Yep.
So only God is in control, and
Yeah.
with God being in control, I think we just do our parts, find our lanes, stay in it and link with those who understand, and those who don't, love them from a distance.
That's such good advice. And I think community has never been more important.
Yeah.
Choosing to surround yourself with people that light you up,
Oh yeah.
and knowing that you have to deal with people that don't.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to your time and your energy, trust that. Trust your intuition. Trust that you know when you need to not pick up a phone call, or
Mm-hmm.
trust when you know that you need to not show up to something in person, when you just know, like that gut feeling that lives within all of us, that is so strong
Mm-hmm.
in females and in women.
Mm-hmm.
We have to stop ignoring that.
Yes. Yeah, we really do. And like, I think the more we listen to it, the clearer it will get. Because everyone's any clarity, it's like, well, listen the first time, listen the second time. I think it'll create this space where the fog will just kind of do it. And even me, I'm kind of experimental with that because I'm still um navigating trust in that. Like, I was working at the jail for 9 months, and then coming out of that, coming back into it, I didn't realize like the unwinding even from that. I thought it was gonna be like double dutch.
Oh, I can't even imagine.
Nope, nope. I had to trust in slowing down. I had to trust into angling, really being
Yeah.
strategic with my moves. Trust in the effects of the jail, on me. I got nothing on people who've done it for years, but
Right.
you know, unlearning who I need to become in that. But even in the prison, I was still me,
Yeah.
still very human, still very, and it humbled me to serve, the people in society, whether they were, guilty or innocent, but, people that we, incarcerate, and see that up front
Yeah.
has done something, pretty deep at a spiritual level for me as well.
And we think of that energy of people that are in situations where the distrust is pervasive, right?
Mm,
You think about people that are sitting behind bars, right? You've seen it, you've witnessed it, you've been in that energy. It is our responsibility, if you've been blessed with a life that you can choose, to trust yourself and bring that trusted energy to the world. Because
mhm.
when you trust yourself, you trust your intuition. That, in my opinion, is where safety is found.
Absolutely. So a lot of people look at me and they ask, how did you do it? I'm about, 130 pounds. How did you do it? And how did, because there is a certain level of trust that you had. And this is, I think, what really did it for me was I had to trust incarcerated individuals. And I don't know what they're guilty of.
Right,
Outnumbered and know I'm doing these things. But in the same sense, we're all in there together.
right,
We strip off the titles and and really kind of do that. We are all people for 8 hours in this unit together. I couldn't leave without permission or without relief, so we're all in there locked up together. So there was a sense of community that I had
yeah,
to foster, where I had to identify the males or females that I could trust, or some were trans, or other had pronouns and things of that nature, respecting all beings, that I could trust, and those that I just was like, absolutely not. But the ones that I did, I had to. I couldn't, be like, well, we can't, me and Joe, we can't trust anyone, because sometimes I needed help. I needed someone to talk to somebody else. Sometimes I was sleepy. I would fall asleep. I had to trust that I wouldn't be attacked. Sometimes I was, I had to go inside their cells and take something. I had to trust that this person would, somewhere inside of them, not really, really, attack me, not do that. When you open up that cell door, you have no idea what you're walking into. So I had to take trust at the highest level because I still had a job to do. I still had a duty to do,
yeah.
and I did it. But the way I did it was with lightness, with funniness, with preparedness. Especially if it was like a real crazy person, like I would hit that button, trying to figure out the situation. I would do
Oh
all
my God.
type
Yeah.
of things. And I still got people in there, and they understand. And even if they don't, trust a soul, it still is something that that you come across at one moment. Even though most people don't trust anybody, when you are in an environment of other people, you find it, and that's why I believe in it. Most people, I
Right.
don't. I'd be like, yeah, okay.
And think about how you can sit here today with that
Mm-hmm.
experience and understand trust in such a different way. Think
Mm-hmm.
about how it has changed you. I would tell the listeners to think about, how can you continue to have deeper trust in yourself so that you could call in more trustworthy people into your life, because so much of what is happening today is an issue in relationships.
Oh yeah,
And I think what we need to do, it's an inside job. I say that all the time.
absolutely.
And we'll link some resources below, stuff that you and I have done. I'll get a list from you on ways that you were able to grow that trust within yourself. We have to start trusting each other again. We don't have a choice. We are never going to bring in this new world unless we start trusting ourselves and each other. Full
Absolutely.
stop.
And I think before the narrative of like, yeah, trust yourself, but I think you said now we can't just start there because you can't just, I'm just going to trust myself. Like, no, we have to,
No,
we have to like,
the
we have
world's
to
gonna
put that
beat your
out.
ass.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
really?
really.
Okay.
Right. You have to extend that trust to others
Yes.
and just start. This is what I would urge people. I would start small. That's what I did do in prison. I started small, you know, started small and then you take note. So just for example, a lot of times people in prison like to stretch their legs. It's a normal thing, right? You know, if you're locked up maybe like, 16 hours a day, in a very, tiny space, it's natural you want to get out. And they would ask me if they could leave out. And especially if it was the first time, I always let them out and I see how they behave. If they just stretched their legs, did what they had to do, and then went back, they get it again. If they didn't act a fool, now I gotta yell and all that. Now you've had an action that proves the distrust. It wasn't something that I just assumed about you. You've shown me.
That's really good advice.
You've shown me. So wait for people to show you. Don't let the anxiety tell you what another human being is going to do because you do not know.
Right.
Give it small. Just even especially if you're in a personal relationship like a marriage, I don't know. Trust that your spouse will do the dishes, that the dishes will be done, even if they never do it. Just one day, just do
Right.
it and
Just
keep
say
just see and
and
just
just
keep
keep
doing
that
it. And
growing.
keep doing it. Keep asking, keep moving over, keep building it. Now, if it's the relationship is personal, I do think that you can just, communicate and build through that. Not secretly wait for failure. People do that too. They secretly wait for the disappointment because at least if they can expect it, then it won't hurt and they'll be like, I knew it. You're still,
Self-preservation, yeah, that equals just, yeah.
no, you're still fucking yourself. Excuse my language, but
No.
you're still like,
Oh, please.
right.
We're allowed to say whatever we want on this
All
podcast.
right. Well, yeah, you're still fucking yourself if you're just
Yep.
expecting people to disappoint you secretly, internally within your own.
Exactly. That's quite an energy.
Yeah.
That we could talk about a whole other podcast. Well, our time is almost up, which makes me sad. I am so
Yeah.
happy that you came on. Oh my God. So I have one last question for you.
Sure.
How has your level of trust evolved in the last few years with everything you have been through, which is massive and a long list, as all of us?
It's evolved to the fact that to the point where I now expect uncertainty. And honestly, like I'm stepping into that now as I'm saying it, because I like to grow through what I go through. So when you ask me that, I'm like, all right, where am I at now at 1:07 p.m.? What can I step into now? That's going to take me to the next higher. And it is that uncertainty is inevitable and, in some kind of way of, form. So with that, it's truly staying present, staying with the work for today, letting tomorrow unfold in front of me. And that trust is starting to become fun instead of scary. But it took a lot of internal work to calm down the anxiety again, because I think that's the thing too. When you make another change, another transition, it's just new anxiety. Now you got new fears and new words. You got to kind of start the process all over
Level
again.
up.
Right. And then get comfortable in another level up. Right. And then here you go. Here go another evolution. And then you got it. And then you're all uncomfortable. I think the most powerful piece of advice that I read in a book recently was like, it's okay to do it shaky.
I
And
love
I
that.
didn't know that at first, I didn't know that at first. And my wife was, of course, yeah, of course, right? Like, that's what a wife does, know everything.
Yes. She's a good one too. I love all her quotes. She's the
Yeah, like,
best.
always right, and I'm here for it, right? So being able to do it shaky is like where I'm at with the trust. Like, all right, I got out of that, now I'm into this, and while it's familiar, I want to do it as this person that I am now, and that's new, and I've never seen me do this before either. So it's all new.
I'm so excited to be walking beside you in this life, and I love you so much. And
Love you too.
it's I feel in many ways like obviously our lives are not just beginning, but I feel like in many ways our lives are just beginning. And
People,
you
yeah,
know,
people say that when you hit another like growth spurt, and then it's just like a whole new like book. Like
yeah.
that sometimes it's chapters, and then sometimes it's a whole new book. This does feel like a whole new book. So I love you. You've been such an inspiration for consistency, for staying in your lane, not letting fear drive you out of your purpose. For marriage, oh my God, I love you and Ali. How I feel about you too. You guys being that hope and inspiration to us to, keep that, that stick to itness, even when it's challenging. That love. I fell in, you showed me your wedding pictures, and I was like, oh my God, you guys look like something out of a Harry Potter book, and
Oh, it's Harry Potter, all right. You're
exactly.
about to make me cry. I have not cried on the podcast before.
It,
Thank
you
you
know,
for that.
of course, exactly. Harry Potter went through it all, and I think that's the time. Like, I think people need to find their favorite fictional show, movie, whatever
Dive in.
that shit is about to look like, and just strap up,
Art imitating life, imitating art.
and then just strap up. It's going to be all the things, wild and crazy, really scary, possibly dangerous. So keep that, keep your head on that swivel and move accordingly. Start to trust yourself, because we are going into a world where you may need to trust yourself more than ever.
I agree.
Yeah, more than ever.
Yeah, I think that's definite. And it's not to be scary. It's a time, and I hear it from so many people. Like, I'm leaning in. I don't have a choice but to trust myself, because everything I thought I could trust, or everything I placed my trust in, has crumbled, right? And you're left with yourself.
Right, because you haven't crumbled.
Yep.
And I think the more that you don't crumble, I do think you get to a point where you just don't crumble. You just take a deep breath and just keep moving. The resiliency strengthens up. It's like this kind of cement just gets inside of you, and you're just not shaken by what used to shake you anymore, or not allowing things to do that. And then you're like, all right, well, I'm going to trust you. And then you trust it based off of what you see in that person. This person has characteristics. This person has that. I know they got it. And then we link in that,
Yep.
that brotherhood, sisterhood, humanhood, whatever, mankind. Like, we link in all of that through that. And, and I think it'll be beautiful privately. So everyone's staying in their lane, focusing on that, being aware of the negativity, because it does exist in our world. It does exist in our reality. And for me as a mother, I have to keep my ear open to things, because I got children's futures in my hands, and then preparing them to teach them how to hold their own future in their hand. It's real.
Thank you for being you. I love you a lot. Thank you for being here. We're going to link you below.
Gotcha.
I want everyone that's listening to go follow my friend Brett. She is freaking amazing. Your content's amazing. I know you were taking a bit of a break. You had a lot going on. She'll be back. She's not going to abandon the world. I won't let her.
I'm right, because I was about to be in my island drinking pina coladas.
It's all good. You were allowed. You've been through a lot. Listen, please. You stay on that island, but once you come off, we're going to be ready for you. So.
I got to come off to get to the island first. Like, I was trying to get to the island.
I thought you were saying you're on the island. That's amazing.
And skip past that, but no.
You're like, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work that way. So I got it.
Well, thank you for being here. And I want to thank all of the listeners of The Space Between. This is such a beautiful conversation. We've had such great connection. And I hope something has connected with you. Mm-hmm. And we will see you again very soon in The Space Between.
All right. See ya.
Thank you so much for joining us in The Space Between. We hope this conversation sparked connection for you. Please like, subscribe, and share this episode with someone who will find value. And make sure to tune into our next episode as we continue the journey into the core themes of our lives. We'll see you again in The Space Between.